I should fix my lighting situation. Here we go. Nah, it's worse. I should fix my lighting situation. Here we go. Nah, it's worse. I should fix my lighting situation. Nah, it's worse. Actually, maybe the light from the screen. Ah,
Do you hear Rainbow Rangers in the background? That song that was just going on?
Testing,
No,
testing. There we go. I think I'm coming in now on the stream. Just go test that quick.
see the stream. I'll just switch over.
Okay, good. I am coming in. That's why I have my phone with me, so I can actually see what is actually going on.
Yep, there we are.
Okay, perfect. So
I have the worst resting jerk face. Like, whenever I just see my face without any emotion, it's just I'm snarling.
oh no, at work, all of our lighting is like overhead lighting. So whenever I'm on a call, like I always like have this furrowed brow because that's what I look like when I'm thinking, and I just look like I'm always pissed off when talking to clients.
Just watching me adjust myself, like, why do I look like Mr. T? What's happening? What I said about.
So I'm glad we never had video at Microsoft. Just did audio.
Microsoft.
Plus, now I have the advantage I get to hide.
Microsoft is hiring account managers. I'm kind of sad that I already have a new job.
In Minneapolis
They pay more?
In Minneapolis.
Oh.
Just apply for the other one.
Meh.
Hey, you guys pay more. Bye.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean,
Everything.
Worst case scenario. Okay.
Do you want?
Worst scenario, I'd say no.
That's what account manager is.
Do I want what?
Sales. Well, sales to a mediary, because you have to. Microsoft can't directly sell, so you got to go use the partners.
That's kind of what I do now, Joey. I'm an account manager currently.
You want to be a sellout, huh?
I thought you were doing logistics.
No, that was ASM.
Oh.
That's over now. That's been over for a while. That's been over since July.
No, I know, but I thought it was the same. I thought you were doing something similar.
No one needs to do Walmart trailers anymore. This is all on the internet now, and I don't care. I won't say anything disparaging to about my former company beyond that.
We're not recording.
We are recording. We are actively streaming, and I don't edit the thing, so it's just
out there now.
Good thing.
I just watched this one thing. What's Braulon up to? Oh, hey, it's Tony. Wonder what he has to say. Just it's like, fuck those ass faces. I didn't like them anyway. I think their parties were stupid. They're not watching this because they're ass faces, like I said.
Big Boss Man is actually just a really big anime fan. Like, it's like, oh, I remember these two. Anyway, all aboard the Mugen train. Choo choo.
Yeah.
We continue this long trudge through the parts of Demon Slayer when it just gets progressively worse. Although I am going to continue through the arcs, at least on my own. I actually started the Entertainment District arc last night again, and I'm very disappointed in it already.
I assume that's the arc right after this one?
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's not great. Anyway, the fight's good, but it's not great. And
that's this entire show, man.
So, Joey, you have now seen 2 movies that are like shonen anime. This is canon movies. Like this is something that actively, like, if you watch the series, you should see. So, is this better than Jujutsu Kaisen 0?
Well, yes, this is better than the movie because at least it has the main characters from the series in the movie. So I'm not following
You know
somebody
what? Yeah,
completely different that I know I don't have to care about later.
yeah. That's fair. I feel the same way. Jujutsu Kaisen. I have no idea what the takeaway from that was. It felt like a waste of time, and turns out it was. So thank you for that.
It
This,
apparently
at
comes
least I
back
know.
in the new season, but yeah, I haven't even watched the new season yet, so I can't tell you. Um, but yeah,
At least this is relevant.
So Mugen Train, I think it might still be the lead with like the best selling anime movie in the states, because it was like just as the pandemic was like winding down, that it just sat in AMC theaters for about like 4 months.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
So it's better than Jujutsu Kaisen Zero because I remember Jujutsu Kaisen Zero like opened at #1 because that's when people largely still weren't going to theaters.
So
Yes.
like, did like anime nerds take over or something? Because I do I just
Yeah,
not understand this generation's sensibilities? Because they're not good. These things are not good. I know there's still good anime out there, so why is this the popular thing? I have it on right now in the background, and it's still stupid.
Well, so Marlon, before we get into why Joey watched this wrong, um, so
better,
if
better. By the way, like, well,
if you are of the opinion that like the kids today are wrong, then like would you consider like the Dragon Ball Z movies better than this, like Tree of Might, like those like
Oh,
these do not matter, these are non-canon?
100%. They're entirely self-contained, and they get the point of Dragon Ball Z across super easily. You can catch any of the movies in the site, just watch a show out of the blue. Yeah, it won't be directly related, but it's something that could have happened to the characters in like an off day or something. While Jujutsu Kaisen was just who are these people? This is a separate story entirely. And in the case of okay, we'll get to Mugen Train after, but it's Dragon Ball Z is definitely better. I'll take Tree of Might over this all day.
Okay. So, Joey, you did watch this wrong. You watched the series version, so you got an extra hour of Demon Slayer
better.
content. You got 2 episodes of Rengoku just Rengokuing around.
Mm-hmm. And I get to actually meet him instead of him just being some random guy that's all powerful. But like, why can't he break out of this dream world? And then so it makes the ending a little more climactic. It makes it a little more effective. So I think having that first episode to introduce him is very well done. It establishes that like, hey, they know something's going on with this Mugen train. It's just not random spur of the moment,
Yeah.
and that's where they explain like, oh, this train has is responsible for the deaths of people, or at least the disappearances of people. Rather, I feel like if I watched the movie version, it was just like, come investigate this train. Why?
Reasons.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, that extra episode does help a lot. Because in the movie they kind of just beat him on the train, like there he is,
Yeah,
he's
he's
just
just
hanging out.
eating food. Hey,
Right. Tasty. Tasty.
Yep.
Tasty. Bring me all my box lunches. I want the beef and the chicken. Yeah.
hey,
Reminds
remember?
me of, for whatever reason, it reminds me of
And it's hanging
MREs.
by a thread.
Oh.
Poor
It
guy.
reminds me of, have either of you ever had MREs? Like those packets of made ready to eat they have in the military?
Are those like Lunchables?
Oh,
They're,
it's
they're
like
kind of
you
like
I've had
military
water.
Lunchables.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, they
I've had
came
MREs
apart.
then.
Yeah, and you just add water and it cooks it, but it's like, oh, so bad.
Well, I guess he likes those. He considers them tasty. If that's what those are. But I think that he just likes Lunchables. I'm gonna assume they're Lunchables. I've been pretending they're Lunchables this whole time. I'm gonna keep them Lunchables. I know there's actual box meals they have now as adults nowadays is a new trend, but I like to think he's making like those little crackers and like bologna sandwiches, and he's just addicted to those.
Just it's a very different movie if Rengoku just has a box of bologna sandwiches.
Yeah,
So,
he's just addicted to bologna sandwiches. Bologna cracker sandwiches with the little cheese, little Ritz, or
so
the pizza you make yourself.
the plot
Here, by the
of
way,
Mugen
6-year-old
Train.
puppy break.
The plot of Mugen Train is if you have, and granted, this is a like I as a comic fan, I should not be like so like on my high horse of like, oh, they just stole from this because like does everyone know Superman for the Man Who Has Everything? Because I understand it's a very popular Superman story, but
It is the best Superman story.
I feel like we're gonna have to research that. There has to be someone who came up with the idea that the whole dream sequence. Wait a minute. Is this technically It's a Wonderful Life?
In a way,
I'm
it's
pretty sure
more.
for the man who has everything is it's pretty much like a play on It's a Wonderful Life. So it goes back ages the whole dream sequence thing. This is just It's a Wonderful Life, except you
Like,
don't want to kill himself.
was it Star Trek Generations?
Yeah, that's another one.
More
yeah.
like that, where they want to go back to the dream instead of living out the reality.
Yeah, so the
That's
basic
what-
plot of Mugen Train is that the birds tell our Demon Slayer crew to go to this train. People are disappearing on this train because the birds always tell you where people are disappearing. That's kind of an ongoing thing in Demon Slayer. The birds tell you where the plot is. And they get there and they quickly fall into this demon's trap who we previously met in the bad guy episode of the end of season 1, where Muzan Kinbutsuji just murders all of the lower moons except for one dude who he goes like, hey, I'm going to make you powerful, show me that the lower moons are actually worth a damn. And
then he can win and take on the other higher ups.
Yep. So he has the brilliant plan. I'm going to turn myself into a train, trap people in the dream world, and then get my underlings to stab them. Uh, actually, not stab them. Like stab their consciousness in the dream world. It's very weird. But the reference I'm making to For the Man Who Has Everything is there is a Superman story. It's a more Justice League story because Batman and Wonder Woman are in it too, where it's Superman's birthday. They go there, and it's Superman has been the villain Mongol has attached the Black Mercy to him, which is a plant that locks you in a dream world, and you just kind of sit there. And the dream is so good that you don't want to leave, and Superman has a bunch of moments where he kind of knows that he's dreaming, gets the Black Mercy off him, and they defeat Mongol, and all is well. It's very good. It's written by Alan Moore. It's very good.
I was gonna say you're leaving out the best part, but it doesn't really. That part of the story doesn't really pertain to this.
When you describe it like that, it's nothing like It's a Wonderful Life. So I see what you mean.
Well, I'll spoil the best part. The best part is that it shows that Superman just yearns to be human. He doesn't yearn to be Superman. So that's why, and obviously this one doesn't quite do that. There's they want to go back to the way things were, but it doesn't necessarily mean. But you already knew that because that was instead of basically just trying to be like anybody else instead of the hero, which what Superman is. These ones just want to undo the suffering they've had to go through in order to be the hero. Doesn't quite land the same way.
Yeah, there's exactly two interesting things that the movie does with this concept. And I'll get to them as we kind of go through the plot because they both happen kind of right after each other. But yeah, so we mostly do not see the comedy characters' dreams. We actually don't, or yeah, we see a lot of Rengoku's.
We do see their dreams
because Rengoku is just in his little I'm just going to have a flashback because the audience needs to know who I am. But the main brunt of it is Tanjiro's dream, and Tanjiro wishes his family wasn't dead. So, in his dream, his family isn't dead. And that gives us tension for all of about 10 minutes before he breaks out of it.
by slicing his head off, basically.
Kind of a
Indeed.
combination of slicing his head off and having his sister burn the rope. It's kind of a whole thing.
They make it more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah, Nezuko
Then
actually
again, so
does
do the bad
something in
guys.
this for like the first time, or no, she did something in the Spider Dudes arc because she got strung up in a very like weirdly bondage way and then blew up the vine or blew up the spider web.
Should we talk about then, like the henchmen and their motivation to be henchmen? Like you will not take away my chance to dream.
That's actually kind of great. I kind of want someone to steal that for Scarecrow or something in a Batman comic. Please just put me back to sleep.
I do need to go on Crunchyroll and make sure to be recording when I get my favorite line in the dub, which is I don't care if you have tuberculosis.
Oh yeah.
Just something about how the line is delivered just was very funny to me. Mainly because that character just looks so tired. It's just like, just lay down. Like it's fine.
I guess sleep deprivation is pretty scary. So I guess if this thing's just keeping people alive and that's the then yeah, I'd work for it too. Let me friggin' sleep. Let me have one good nap. Should be more effective when you the older you are.
So, Joey, you missed out on the movie version because the movie version actually starts with them actually getting on the train. And I was like, oh man, Joey's not going to like this because the first scene is a comedy scene where you have Rengoku just eating his box lunches, and then Tanjiro goes up to him and goes like, hey, I know this weird fire breathing technique and you're the Flame Hashira, so do you know anything about it? And he's like, nope. And then there's kind of a comedy scene where he talks about training him, and it's a whole thing, and it's not very funny because when the show does comedy, it's kind of the worst.
Which is why the series version is better, because at least it establishes that character and just doesn't introduce him as some big dumb douche.
Well, he has already been introduced as a big douche because he is one of the two Hashira who are like, we should execute Nezuko and Tanjiro.
Which is why it was so jarring that he was so nice to them when he met them on the train. Like that didn't just happen. We're just brushing that off. I was totally cool to kill you guys like a few days ago.
Well, granted, they go into the dream world pretty quick because like they have their little like starting. Oh, a demon is attacking, but it's not really because it's
just some random demon that likes to kill people.
Yeah.
And then Goku cuts his head off and like at the speed of sound.
Yeah. And the purpose of that is to go like, hey, this is what his power is because we're not going to see a whole lot of it until the later third of this movie.
That's not true. We see him break out of the dream world and be able to be still frozen in dream world but protect his consciousness. So he puts a little henchman in a chokehold.
You mentioned my one of my cool things.
You would say that's a cool thing? I just thought that was...
Well,
that part I thought...
I'll get into it because I think it's a cool character thing that they did with him. But yeah, so for the most part, we just see Tanjiro's dream. Tanjiro kind of understands that he's dreaming pretty quick. And with Nezuko's help, he's able to break out of it. In the meantime, we see Zenitsu's dream. Zenitsu dreams about just wandering around a peach grove with Nezuko because he's a creep. And Inosuke dreams of fighting the train in a cave, and everyone else is an animal, and
everyone else on his team are his underlings, and he is the leader. And he can't remember their names. That's right.
Even in his fantasy, he can't remember their names.
Which is also a joke that they do with Rengoku. So it's like, why do this joke twice?
Because they're unimportant.
But yeah, so before they get knocked out of the dream, so there's two things that I think they do with that are cool. One of which is the whole like, hey, this inner area is just your like dream state, and then the outer area is this like weird, like, this is your subconscious. This is the realm of the subconscious that is just outside of this little bound thing. And
Yeah.
what I found interesting character wise is that Rengoku, who they basically just make as Superman, and he is just Superman. That is his character. When the evil
John
henchman
Cena.
like cuts through it, just everything is on fire, and it does not seem like it's just because he's the Flame Hashira. It seems like, oh well, he's putting on a brave face, but actually he's like just holding a whole lot of anger inside, and
Right.
that it's like the only good character moment he gets.
It's a pretty damn good moment, at least.
because it's combined with the henchman trying to stab his subconscious, and then his survival instinct is to just choke the shit out of her for half the movie.
But he's in the sleep still. That's fine.
He's
Just
that
like-
angry.
It's like Tanjiro. How
An
easy is
angry
it to
dude.
say, like, why do we have to consistently show him slicing his throat? Can't we just say, like, he's impervious to the dream state because he already knows it's a dream? So he just, like, he doesn't just get put back down just to wake up every single split second. Like, just say he's impervious to it now. Like, that seems a
Just have
lot
him choke a woman
easier.
for half the movie.
No, because that
I like this.
Joe,
more.
you're missing out on the cool thing that happens because he needs to slice his throat. Because so Tanjiro learns that the best way that he can get out of his dream is if he literally kills himself in the dream, which is a very weird moment when his dad, who he loves, basically just comes in and goes like, "Hey Tanjiro, kill yourself." and that's actually like the good advice.
I know what you're going to say is the cool part about it, though.
But
And I kind of agree. It is actually kind of cool.
yeah, so
Where
so Tanjiro goes into like fury state and attacks this terrible, terrible villain. And villain has the ability to basically, as long as you're looking at him, he can keep putting you to sleep. So Tanjiro is basically just running at him, constantly falling asleep, then slicing his neck, waking up, and it's like this weird thing where it's like, oh, is he gonna fall off? No, he's not. And it's pro wrestling. It is a
Yeah.
It is like, oh, he's fighting from underneath. He's doing his comeback. It's the Tanjiro
The pump
comeback.
up thing. Which is why I proposed the show would be better if these three were replaced by the New Day, and Rengoku just John Cena. They ran into John Cena on a train, and he helped him out for a second.
actually, that's a good analogy because then, yeah, like Xavier Woods can save Kofi Kingston because, yeah, the one thing is
Yeah.
because he goes into Fury mode, he's like, hey, don't fall for this. You're in the real world. You're about to kill yourself. Basically, like Xavier Woods putting Kofi Kingston's leg on the bottom rope when he's about to get pinned. Like, hey.
Keep hitting himself with a chair in a dream over and over again. Yeah. Yeah, but we're stuck with this instead, so it's fine. They don't take our ideas seriously.
So if it is based on action, I guess. So Marlin, the little like sequence where I guess the first sequence of the fight where he kills big bad guy for the first time when he's just a dude and not a train.
That's a sentence.
That didn't get you. That didn't get the anime hype moment like Dragon Ball Z does.
I mean, it did. I mean, the fights are really good. That's the thing. The movie is 70% fight, and it is really awesome. Just that there's not much substance there for me to hold on to. They were given an opportunity to set up these characters and set up their motivation to set up, me feeling something for it, and they just kind of goofed off, and then a demon showed up, and now they fight that team. that's it. And watching it again, yeah, that's just what happened. They were goofing off. They met a guy, and then the demon showed up. I got nothing else to say about this. Very, very great job by the animation team. This is still a shit story.
Cool. I will say the animation in some scenes were cool. Mixing the computer with the drawing. That was, but
Yeah.
God, merging yourself with the train. So what does that mean that like big bad Muzan Kibutsuji is going to do? Did he merge himself with the planet? Like, it's just dumb. Like it's taking like the Voldemort Horcrux idea and just like, well, you can't kill me now because I'm this big giant thing. Just
Steven can get it first.
let me slice this train to pieces. Dumb. Because didn't we establish the only thing that can kill these demons usually are these swords or sunlight, which we
Yeah.
can get into the ending when that comes up too. But that's I hated that. I merged myself with this train. Like I understand you want to like get match number 2 and match number 3 out of this trilogy, but there are better ways to do it.
I guess there's other ways to see it. I see it as a video game boss battle. Like this is just the second
Mhm.
level, and you beat this bit. Now you got to beat the next bit. It just I like seeing it as layers, so that the movie's not cut and dry, simple, or worse yet, they're fighting the same person over and over again with just now they have more arms, or now their hair is blue or something.
Mhm.
These heroes, this changes the entire scene.
Yeah,
So
it's pro wrestling. It's going from one-on-one to now it's a submission match to after the submission
yeah,
match we have Hell in a Cell.
yeah,
Like it's
yeah. It's like one of those. It's a triple threat night match
Mhm.
or whatever that was called. I forgot. Like 3 stages of hell. That's what it
Oh
was.
yeah.
The 3 stages of hell match. So yeah, I guess I could see that. Or it could be like your big match, and in the middle, like the faction comes out and interrupts and interferes, and then it goes right back to the main two for the final bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Like right now, I'm watching a bit of like the gooey train bit, and it's just they're just fighting tentacles. You're not really fighting a person
It
at this
looks
point.
cool,
There's,
but yeah, like
there's
story
nothing really
wise,
to say about it. It's just they're
wrong.
fighting gooey stuff. Like even if you were to turn this into a video game level, it would be boring as crap. You're just
And
fighting goo.
on top of that, like I feel like the villain's motivations are off. Like you want to like destroy this Mugen train and the demon slayers in it, so you can take on the other henchmen from Muzan Kibutsuji. Because again, like theirs is just a ladder you climb. I don't love that. Plus, on it, like we were talking about, the villain has no charisma. Like like some of the best villains are
I
still going
disagree
to be the
there.
ones you root for, or at least you think are cool. Like how they introduce Muzan Kibutsuji, like just sticks his finger into someone's forehead and basically blows them up. So
I don't
because
think
they met him in an alley hammered.
There
we have
is
So
different definitions of charisma.
there is
It's just
no
it's a cool
sense
thing.
of menace with the I just refer to him as the main villain mainly because I forget his name. Like I remember Akaza. Like Akaza shows
yeah.
menace. He's able to kill a Hashira in the first time pretty much you see him fight. It's like cool. Like got it.
Yeah.
But main villain dude, who cares? Like Rui, who is the lead spider dude person, he's able to show menace because not only do you see his family is capable of very horrific violence, but he is as well. Like when he starts his fight, he just slices someone like it's nothing. But this dude, he doesn't kill a single person in this movie. Everyone he kills is off screen. He gets his henchmen to do everything. He's a weak heel. Like he's just a heel that doesn't work.
Honestly, I think
Uh,
this whole movie is weak heels, unfortunately. But we'll get to the climax later too. But
yeah, he doesn't seem weak. He just has no victories. He's just one of those. He's kind of Bray Wyatting this right now. Like he's got a really cool presence and a really cool promo package, and then he just keeps losing
Yeah,
because it doesn't matter if he wins because the character is bigger than his victories. Okay, rest in peace,
the eater of L's.
Eater of Hells. Rest in peace, Eater of Hells.
I mean, didn't he? I mean, he won the at the end of the first season that we watched. Didn't he just win like the henchman battle royale by groveling? He
That
didn't necessarily even win it by being more powerful than anybody else. He just said, "Oh, Muzan Kubutsuji, it's an honor to be killed by you." Muzan Kubutsuji is just like, "All right." Nice job, brown nosing. Let's.
I guess the
Yeah,
audience
it's just
won't
a
get
common
sick of you
workplace.
for an hour. So
But yeah,
then the
that
movie
did for a
runs into
second.
a problem. it is
Then,
it
all right.
is 2 hours long, and we have killed our main villain. And we have our standard Demon Slayer like villain monologue where he talks about how much he sucks. And that's basically it's like I wasn't able to kill a single person and everything I do failed. Why do I suck so hard? My final form was just that deleted scene from Blade where Steven Torf turns into a giant goo monster. And then they decided that it was better to just make him really fast. Why couldn't I be just really fast? That
That'd be boring as an anime. I just went over this. We're not gonna fight slow version and fast version. We're not doing that. That's just a waste of my time.
yeah, I guess
Make a Magoo monster and a train.
I guess then would be like, hey, you have this guy who's really fast, and then this guy who is now faster, because the train derails, everyone is somehow saved because Rengoku is Superman, and then we get our main event with a thing that they hid for the most part as part of the advertisements for the movie, that you didn't know this Akaza fight was going to happen, and Rengoku gets in the Superman Doomsday fight. We have the death of Superman as
Wasn't it Superman?
Out of the blue.
it was the death of Superman.
It was not because he doesn't kill the villain.
You know what? You're right. It's way worse. It's more like the death of
Exactly.
Booster Gold or somebody.
Exactly.
This is the death of Blue Beetle. This is shit's just starting.
But just in general, without the Superman reference, Joey, so what did you think of the last fight? The fight between Rengoku and the battle of saying their move names.
I did like one that
Visually-
one time. You should say it after you do the move. It's a lot cooler that way. I like when they did that for a second.
They've at least already established on the show that's what they do. Fire breathing, eighth form, kick in the face. Like, that's fine. We've already established we do that on the show, but I will say visually it was really cool. Like, and it's like, and they do a good job like setting like what this villain is, like where he keeps explaining like you can keep fighting me, I keep healing, you don't. Like, so it just keeps like making it seem like this person is more and more of a mountain to climb, and it's just getting more and more daunting the farther you go. That part, so the fight itself, great. Storyline, I didn't like it because you've already established Rengoku as like this big buddy, at least through watching it on the series and establishing through the first episode, which I liked. But now you've established him, and so basically, this is the first time we've ever met this villain. And yes, we're establishing he's another powerful one and a more powerful version of the one before. But it's basically like because we don't know him, so this guy that we were invested in got killed by a nobody. So again, I would say to make this more to make this better, you would either have them kill each other, and basically, so Rengoku just holds him in the sunlight until he fades away from the sunlight, or basically instead of the henchman, have it be Muzan Kubuchuji that shows up in the end. That would seem more exciting for the movie anyway, especially people that know the series. So they would see that even this all-powerful villain can't, or all-powerful hero can't stop this villain. Doesn't even come close. And then the last gripe is just the stupid Tanjiro yelling at dude that escaped through the forest, like, "You're a cop! You fight us during the day, you dick!" Like,
And then it censored you for a lot of that. That's exactly what he said. He got wild.
I do
on that boy.
want I want a WrestleMania to end with the heel winning and the baby face cutting this impassioned promo about how if you look at it in a different light, he actually won.
Or it's just not fair, or it's a draw.
Yeah,
Technically, from another perspective,
that is my headcanon ending for WrestleMania 28. Is John Cena talking about how The Rock didn't actually win.
they still have you people.
But I don't know. I kind of like Tanjiro's speech. I like Tanjiro actually getting frustrated. Like, dude is unflappable for the most part until you like threaten his sister. And in this one, we finally get to see like Tanjiro angry, and then we get to see him despair.
But you could
Because
have done that. You could have done that with Muzan Kubutsuji as the villain. You could have, because he could be despaired, because he could see like how overpowering these villains are, these demons are, and how hard his what his quest is. So
You're right.
I feel like that would have landed better. You're right in that that does at least land better. Like if the both of them kill each other idea that I had, then yeah, there's not as much reason for Tanjiro to just feel despair. I mean, there's a little bit, but not compared to this situation. So that one I'll give you. But I again to me, then why not make it Kibutsuji to be the one to kill Rengoku instead of
You,
this random?
you also brought up an excellent point there for a second. Movies don't normally do this. Movies that normally have one villain and there's a surprise villain who's better than that villain. Why don't you take the qualities of that villain and have one really strong villain? Why didn't they just do that? We could have had one solid demon with some amazing battles, including the one at the end choreographed the exact same way, but they split it up instead. Who
I mean,
decided that?
how would Rengoku have that cool visual fighting the train?
You could turn him back into a person or make it a dream or something. But either way, you kind of made the main villain a pushover and made the secret villain the main threat. So now we're worried about this guy, but that's you have to watch the show to get more of
Fire
that.
breathing.
You're just baiting for the show. That's all you're doing. You could have had one really strong movie, one really strong villain, like you mentioned Dragon Ball Z before. We all know who Broly is. We all know who the villains in those movies are because you have one strong villain. Here, you have a pushover and this new guy. So why not just make the movie about this new guy?
yeah, it's so. The other thing that I thought of, and I mentioned it when we were watching it, Marlon, where it's like Tanjiro has this impassioned speech about Rengoku, a dude who he has talked to for a couple hours, if that. Um, and I feel like as audience, I do not feel attached to Rengoku. Like I can understand that the movie is pushing him really hard, so the movie wants me to care about him. But in terms of the overall storyline, if you need to have a Hashira die, which I do think is the proper move, like you need to have like your big super powerful people that are at the end of season 1, you need to show that they are vulnerable as well. But I would have replaced him with the water Hashira that like started him on this road, because I think that gives you someone who, one, Tanjiro had his back. Like now all the Hashira, for the most part, the Hashira do not like really like him all that much. But it also gives you someone who we've seen like throughout season 1 that we know can do cool stuff because he does the dead calm when he kills Rui. But I don't know. I know the fight that's coming, and the fight that's coming is in this upcoming arc. It's going to be between it's like Water Hashira combined with Tanjiro against Akaza. That's what we're working towards in the season that's starting February 23rd. But yeah, there's just the worst part about having something that's mediocre is there is better stuff that's within this stuff, and I feel like they just didn't capitalize on a lot of it.
Because you watched it wrong. Should have watched the movie because you get the extra 30 minutes in the beginning.
I've watched it both as a series and as a movie, and I prefer the movie because the movie is shorter. And honestly, there's not much that Rengoku's couple episodes give me that the movie doesn't already establish. Like, yeah, if you Rengoku is doing cool stuff. Yeah, the Hashira go around similar to our regular Demon Slayer crew and do cool stuff and kill demons. Yeah, I know. I've seen the show. I've watched it for 26 episodes at this point. So that's
The
my
other thing, Rengoku redeems himself by accepting Nezuko at the end. That's the one. It's like, well, now I accept Nezuko because I see
she's
that she's a demon, but she fought with you.
yeah, she
Like,
shed blood
okay.
with us. She did like one thing. Her and Zenitsu did the equal amount of things.
Oh, don't talk about those two together. Freaking gross. Weird.
Well, to be fair, that's kind of what the side characters serve as. They do one cool thing and then they go back to being side characters. They all do it, including Warthog, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we are hitting up on 45 minutes since recording here. So I think since this movie does not have a lot, we can go into scores, then kind of make a decision from here. So once
So
again,
Alan,
stolen from Super Eye Patch Wolf, the 7-star system is so Joey. One being completely like insulting to your intelligence. Two being bad but with redeeming qualities. Three being a general I like it statement. Four, good for the genre. Or no. Four is good with bad qualities. Five is good for the genre. Six is exemplary for the genre. And seven is so good it has redefined what good is. So where do you put Mugen Train? Did it make it higher than season 1?
What did I give season 1?
You gave it a 3. I gave it a 4.
Yeah, it did. So this, I'll give it a 3.5, but only for this reason. Why I will give it the extra half. Generally, I did enjoy watching it. It was better. Like it wasn't a tough watch at all. Again, not like 21 Eye Shield or Eye Shield 21, which should go away to the trash. But the other thing, and I remember saying this to you after I watched it, honestly, I do think this writer could have written a Superman story because they seem to understand through Tanjiro's empathy and while making these characters all powerful but really caring about other people, they seem to get what a Superman character should be rather than the people that are currently writing it right now, i.e. Zack Snyder and multiple
right.
other. We'll see what James Gunn does, but yes, I would think this writer would do better than Zack Snyder did with the trash that he did with Superman.
It was working up to something. In like 4 more movies, you would have had. It's an origin story. It took 10 movies.
Zack Snyder just wanted the fight between Superman and Doomsday, or not Doomsday, with Darkseid. That's all he wanted. That's the only thing he was working up towards a fight.
He just wanted the dumb Batman Superman fight. We got it. Great from whatchamacallit, from the Frank Miller Batman, The Dark Knight Return. And cool.
The writers before Frank Miller,
movie around it sucked.
So Marlon, what do you give Mugen Train?
Maybe a 3. And that's pushing it. I'm really considering a 2 here because it's very imbalanced. Like the animation is very good, but the plot is all over the place because it doesn't feel like a plot. Like, I didn't even know what we were going to talk about before we came on here, and even after talking about it, I still feel that way.
I've already forgotten what we talked about.
Did you hate it more than the season we watched?
Definitely not. At least the season we watched had a lot of good stuff in it, like the Spider People arc, for example. That was good, and I'd absolutely watch it again. But this here, I have no reason to return to this. Most of this, they're in a dream anyway, so they're not really even fighting anything. So they're not really doing anything of consequence either. So they're aping for the man who has everything, but without any of the emotional stakes.
Well, I agree with you. It still does kind of feel like, again, we made this reference last time, where they have really good episodes, but then they have the fillers. Like, Yep, it feels like
Yeah.
a supernatural story where, like, oh, by the way, we're still fighting this, but we have to stop at this haunted house real quick.
Yeah. Yes, that's pretty much what it is. Like, yeah, I assume they're fighting for their lives, but it doesn't look like it. It doesn't look enthralling, and I know what he's gonna do anyway. He's gonna choose to not be in a dream, right? Or else the movie's gonna stop. Or else it's not gonna be a show anymore. So you're just wasting my time. It's not like, say, Superman finally getting Krypton back and finally getting his family back. And there's a lot bigger stakes here. If Superman just stops functioning, than if just one kid stops. Like, no one gives a shit about this kid. So I don't know why they're focusing so much on him. I guess the Michael Jackson demon was really offended, but he's not that big of a threat yet. He's not exactly Goku over here.
Yeah,
So,
if season 1, I will contend, is the best this show does, mainly the tail end of season
oof,
1.
that
And
is unfortunate.
and if season 1 got a 4 from me, I cannot give this above a 3. I like shonen anime, you gotta like go to the fights, and the fights, 2 of the 3 major fights in this are very good. When they're just fighting the train, it's really stupid. Like it's
It's some goo.
just giant towers of eyes. It's the Resident Evil end boss fight. No Resident
It's the
Evil end
Resident Evil
boss
level.
has ever been fun. Like the
There's
only
some goo.
the only fun part about the Resident Evil final boss fight is eventually they give you a rocket launcher to just blow it away.
Just blow it up. But we're just wasting your time. It's just a way to kill time for 15 minutes.
Or in the case of Resident Evil Nemesis, the remake, just a giant railgun dick cannon.
Yeah.
We mean that wasn't in the original? That was just for the remake?
I thought in the original she just has a regular rocket launcher.
Well, I don't know about that, so I'm just assuming. I assumed all of the stuff was in the original. I assumed there were no differences, no changes. But yeah, I guess we would make it a dick cannon laser to
I'll need
get
to
it
fire
estimated.
up the emulators and actually play video games on Twitch at some point. I'll play
Yeah.
original Resident Evil 3. Uh,
If it's that different, I guess I gotta play 2 and 3. Because I was hoping I was avoiding something.
why does this game look like garbage? Because it's from the
Ew.
90s.
This isn't scary, it's just loud.
So, Joey, we have a decision to make. The next thing that we watch is going to be Suzume, and I would like to watch it before the year is out. So, if we can potentially do it next week or the week after, I know Christmas and holidays are coming up, but either way, if we need to push to January, we absolutely can. But, do you want to continue Demon Slayer? So, as in continue talking about it. We have
I
2
feel like I'm
arcs.
the unfair one to ask because I gave this movie the highest score of all 3 of us, which I never thought would happen. So I think that's a question for Marlon.
That's
if you want to
wild.
continue.
So Marwin, I can tell you,
oh,
as
yeah,
someone who has
it's too
watched
high.
the Entertainment District arc, I can tell you it has 2 things. It has a whole lot of boobs. I don't
okay,
know.
I'm in.
I don't know why. It is the horniest of the arcs. That I've seen so far. I don't know how horny the Swordsmith Village arc gets. But it also has a very good fight at the end. Like, legitimately, I did like the Entertainment District arc, like the major fight in it.
Alright, well, I'm game for continuing this just for the experience. You underestimate how many things I'll watch just to have it logged in my brain
Just
and know that I've seen it.
watch out of
So-
spite.
Out of spite, I spite watch a lot of things. I will spite watch the hell out of this.
This show is culturally relevant, right? I mean, you can get
Yeah.
toys of it at Walmart and Target. So
That way I could interrupt the conversation from a bunch of kids and see your show is stupid. I watched the entire thing. I didn't like any of it. Thank you for wasting my time. I blame you for this.
I am the better anime fan. I watched so many episodes of Dragon Ball Z where they said the world was going to blow up in 3 minutes.
Real stakes.
And I was like, oh no, how much time has passed? And you didn't know. And little did you know, there were 30 episodes.
lame.
marketing genius.
Please, no. That's all I'm going to say.
We're not going to
Please.
watch Dragon Ball Z. The most we will watch for Dragon Ball Z, Joey, is we might watch a like one of the movies. Like might watch Super Broly. I feel like that is the gift we'll give Marlon once we finish up Demon Slayers. We'll watch Super Broly.
Yay. Tree of Might or something.
Or,
Something easy for you to get into.
Or I'll get you all to watch My Hero Academia, which is, like, I think it's better than Demon Slayer, but it's only because I like superheroes more than Demon Slaying.
You know what? That. Because I've had people try to get me into that. Maybe as a group watch, I'll be able to actually watch it. Because I couldn't get past it for crap. Chainsaw Man and Match to Love, but not My Hero Academia.
Yeah, I think if we showed Joey Chainsaw Man, he'd still hate it. So we need to keep showing him things until we think he might like Chainsaw Man. It's like we're working towards Neon Genesis Evangelion as well, and that's a bit far down the line.
Too anime.
This is too much. This is Black Tar anime.
Yeah, I'm not high enough for this anime.
So that's it. We'll figure it out. We'll watch. Next will be Suzume because we need to watch a cute anime about cute things, combined with Motoko Shinkai being a really good director, like legitimately, like good stuff. If we want to watch The Boy and the Heron, I am willing to go see it in a theater. But I'm not super enthused about it because back when this was an actual podcast, we watched Princess Mononoke, and I made my opinion of Hayao Miyazaki known, which is I consider Satoshi Kon much better.
I'm sorry, I don't live in Minnesota anymore. We can't
the
take on to
movie.
Alamo.
You're gonna bring up somebody else watching Steven Spielberg. Like, I wish you were James Cameron. Fine, I guess.
Well, with Godzilla -1, apparently that director is being like touted as the Steven Spielberg of Japan currently. And Godzilla -1 is very good. It's not an anime, but it's very good.
I've been watching other Godzilla movies because I can't watch this one, so I'm just kind of like, if I squint my eyes, I'm kind of watching -1. But I just hope one of my theaters brings it up, and now it's being renewed or whatever.
Yeah, and this is the tangent portion of the episode where we just talk about random bullshit. But one of my favorite things about Godzilla -1 is you have a lot of the right wingers going like, "Oh, this movie is good because unlike things like the Marvels, this doesn't have an agenda." And it's like this movie literally has characters like look at the camera and say we cannot trust the government for anything and nationalism is a lie.
Yeah, just right over their head. What is kooky Japanese talking about? I wish you could understand them in their crazy language.
Left wing, right wing. We can't trust the government for anything.
So
I think that's the message that stood out to them, and that's the only one that
Godzilla -1 is very much about like poisonous nationalism because the main character is a kamikaze pilot who like he was a coward during World War II. Like he landed his plane, that's when Godzilla first attacked, so he kind of got out of it to the point that then the war ends. He like starts a life, and then Godzilla comes back. So he feels that he needs to, redeem
himself.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people going like, "Hey, you're not going to do any good killing yourself, you dummy." Like this.
It's the end of the one Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he's like, "Oh, my grandpa was a kamikaze pilot." He's like, "Was he really?" Like that doesn't really make sense. So he just like, in order to redeem himself, the grandpa runs his wheelchair straight into Larry David. All right, you're making my back really sore.
Yep. So I guess I will let you put the child to bed. We will stop streaming right now, and we will come back with Suzume eventually. Eventually, I will promote this channel, but it's not going to be today. It's not going to be tomorrow. But yeah, just look for the notifications, I guess. You weird audience folk. So yeah, bye.